Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. I just got finished listening to one of the most ridiculous interviews that I've ever listened to, that I've ever watched in a long time. Christelyn Karazin interviewed Madison Amelia. She's the young woman who had the racist boyfriend, and she videotaped a conversation that they had. And you will recall that during this conversation, this man referred to black people as niggers. He called the president of the United States a dumb nigger. He talked about how African Americans need to go back to Africa. This man made derogatory statements about Black Lives Matter, an organization, despite issues that people may have with that organization. It's an organization that's simply fighting to protect Black lives. But this man had the audacity to make all these derogatory comments about Black people in the presence of his Black girlfriend. Now, during the videotaping of this conversation, she was very passive. She didn't really respond to him aggressively about that. So there's been a lot of talk about this video. So Christelyn Karazin interviews this woman. And it turns out that this woman had been in a relationship with this racist, with this damn devil for 3 years. Not only is this man racist, this man is physically abusive. According to her, he was physically abusive to her. According to her, this man not only was physically abusive, he cheated on her on multiple occasions. But yet she was with this man for 3 years. And instead of this interview focusing on the issue of racism, on the fact that this man was a racist, that this man is a bigot, that this man represents a core part of the base that supports that racist, that bigot, Donald Trump. Instead of addressing any of those issues, they spent 21 minutes skirting around that issue. They spent 21 minutes trying to find ways to cover up that issue by talking about personality disorders, by talking about how narcissistic this man is. And while they were covering up this issue of racism, this like the huge elephant in the room that needs to be discussed, they also gave white men a complete pass during that interview. While they judge white men as individuals, they judge Black men and Black people as a collective. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about. This woman, Christelyn Karazin, despite the fact that you have a situation where you have an abusive boyfriend, he's physically abusive to this girl or this woman, he is verbally abusive, he is racist, he's a cheater, instead of focusing on what he has done wrong, instead of attacking him for his racism, this woman spends a good portion of her time, and I'm talking about Christelyn Karazin, she spends a good portion of this interview attacking Black men, making generalizations about Black men and Black people, talking about how the Black community doesn't pamper Black women. When here you have a man that abused a Black woman, and instead of focusing on that, she wants to focus on the faults in the Black community. She wants to talk about how these Black men are harassing this woman. She wants to talk about how Black men think that they can bully someone into admiring them. This is how sick this woman is. She's taken a situation where you have a white man who is really the perpetrator, who is really the guilty party here. And she's using that as another opportunity to attack Black men and to attack the Black community. And while these people want to individually judge white men, they want to collectively judge Black men and Black people. This woman talked about how she wasn't going to be intimidated into dating a black guy following this event. I mean, this is a traumatic situation. But yet this woman's first inclination is to be with a white man immediately after she leaves this racist guy. And the fact that she was with him so long tells you how messed up she is psychologically. And the fact that she would immediately leave that relationship to be with another white guy says a lot about this woman's mindset. She suffers from Stockholm syndrome. And most people understand what that is. That's when a captive, instead of thinking about their own freedom, instead of thinking about their own interests, what they do is they try to please their captor. They begin to identify with their captor. And that's what this woman has done. She has identified with her captor, and despite all of this, they are kind and gentle to white men. They are making excuses for white men. Despite all of that, because these people worship the white man. This woman identifies with her captor. She had to identify with him to be with him for so long after all this abusive behavior. She has to identify with these people if she's going to leave this relationship with this abusive white man who's a racist and then hop into another relationship with a white man and then talk about being threatened into dating a black guy. So it's like she has to be threatened in order to like even think about being with a black guy. But yet she's so eager to be with a white man. Because these people literally worship the white man, and Christelyn Karazin's whole platform is all about elevating white men over black men. It's all about making excuses for white men. It's all about trying to gloss over racism in America in order to perpetuate her agenda of these interracial relationships that are primarily a situation involving a black woman and her white Lord and Savior, the white man. So that's how messed up this woman is in her head. And it's just a shame that you have people like this that promote this kind of nonsense. They will defend white men under any and all circumstances. They will try to find ways to rationalize these ridiculous interracial relationships, while at the same time they attack an entire community. She's attacking the black community by talking about how black communities don't pamper black women. Well, this man that abused that woman didn't pamper her. He didn't pamper her when he was physically abusing her, or when he was verbally abusing her, or when he was cheating on her. And he's not pampering her now. I mean, him and his new girlfriend have been taunting this woman all online. There's articles about this. But yet they want to take time out to focus on black men, even though the white man is the problem here. They want to focus on the black man, even though white racism is the problem here. And I think that that's a disgrace. And it just reminds me of that other situation where you had this white guy basically use this woman's platform to bring attention to himself. And then once he got that attention, he used that attention to attack black women. To attack black women. And when that happened, instead of addressing the white man who was responsible for all this stuff, this woman, Christelyn Karazin, again lashed out at black men. This is how messed up these people are in the head. They love the devil, they love the enemy over their own kind. And the thing about this situation is this woman made it a point to talk about how she's not fully black, how she's biracial. Well, her boyfriend didn't see her as biracial when he talked about nigger this and nigger that. Society doesn't see her as quote unquote biracial. When they see her, they see a black woman. and that's how they treat her. And that's part of the problem with these interracial relationships. You produce children that are lost, that are clueless. And essentially what they do is they end up in these interracial relationships as well. And eventually, like generations later, the whole black bloodline is completely wiped out a lot of times because these people are fed a diet of self-hatred. They're fed a diet that reinforces the idea that white is better, that light is better. So some of these people, some of these dark-skinned men and dark-skinned women, what they do is they hate themselves so much that they want to lighten up the next generation by intermarrying or marrying with very light black people. And that's what you have here. You have another mixed up, lost, tragic mulatto who identifies with whiteness more than she identifies with blackness. And that just reminds me of a video I saw a while ago, like quite some time ago, where this woman was in this interracial relationship and she had some biracial children. And one of the children actually told this woman that they wish that she was white. That's how damaged these people are. So I just think that this is a sick situation. And this whole thing brings me back to the question that I asked in my last video. Why do black people love white people so much? Despite all the things that we have been through as a people, black people continue to love the white man and the white woman. They put them on a pedestal and they have made them into deities. They have made them into their gods and they bow before their altar. And despite having horrific experiences with these white people, they continue to stay in these relationships. They move from one white man to the next, or from one white woman to the next one. And that reminds me of something that I meant to say in my first video. In the first draft of the video, I did mention this, but when I redid it, I forgot to put this in there. Another example of this is Nate Parker. Here you have a black man who claims that he was falsely accused of rape. This man was put on trial for something that he claims that he did not do. A woman who allegedly just made up some things on him, just falsely accused him of rape. That's what he says. That's his story. So you would think that if someone had been falsely accused of rape, if a white woman falsely accused you of rape, then and you got off and you were exonerated or acquitted, it seems like your thought would be, well, I'm not going to mess with any more of those white women. But some of our people are so sick in the head. They love the white man and the white woman so much that they feel compelled to go back to them. It's like they are hypnotized with self-hatred. They are under a spell, and they kind of talked about that, being under a spell during that interview. They are under some kind of spell. That's the only way that you can explain this stuff. So this brother is charged with rape, falsely according to him. He gets off, and what does he do? Get in another relationship with a white woman. He ends up marrying a white woman. But let a black woman or a black man do something wrong, and then it's the whole black race is written off. The whole black race is, if this was a black man that did this stuff to this woman, you better be sure. You know, I'm certain that this woman, Christelyn Karazin, would have been condemning all black men. The people on her page will be condemning all black men. They wouldn't be talking about no second chances, and they would probably attack her for going back to black men. But these people, when it comes to white people, it's like they see them on a hill, like they're shining bright, like an angel to these black people that are so lost. They worship the white man. They literally worship the white man. And it's just sad. I mean, it's sad that these people don't even have the sense to address this issue of racism. Instead, they make all kinds of excuses for this motherfucker. They want to say, well, has some kind of psychological problem. He's a narcissist. He's bipolar or has personality disorder. They come up with all kinds of excuses to rationalize this nonsense. So tell me what y'all think. And before I go, I mean, it's just another point that has to be raised about this whole thing. And I was watching a little bit of Cynthia G's video. I didn't see all of it, but I saw a portion where she was talking about this whole thing of sex and racism, talking about how you can't have, sex your way out of racism. Like a lot of people think that because some white man lays down with you, that somehow means he appreciates you or appreciates black people. Just because you have sex with people doesn't mean you love them. It doesn't mean that you care about their culture or you care about their people. In the minds of these people, it's just sex. I mean, have we forgotten that the slave masters used to rape black women? Have we forgotten about that? Have we forgotten about how even after slavery, during the Jim Crow era, you had white men raping black women? White men sleeping with black women. And often many of these white men were out and out segregationists. And a prime example of that is Strom Thurmond, a man who espoused white supremacy, a man who was a segregationist, an out and out racist. He didn't have any problem laying down with black women, but he didn't respect or love or appreciate a black woman. And that's where a lot of these black women had their mind twisted up. They got it all messed up. They think that this white man loves and appreciates them more than the black man does. And they'll tell you this, despite these examples of these white men that are racist dating black women. I read an article in Essence about this white man who called his black wife all kinds of niggers and all this and that, and basically had these slave master type fetishes. And that's what a lot of this stuff is about. I mean, a lot of these guys have sexual fetishes for black women. It's not about any kind of genuine love and appreciation for the black man. So those are my thoughts. I could go on and on about this stuff. I just feel it's a shame that this woman essentially felt like people were bullying her into being with a black man. But yet when she's been in an abusive relationship, she's so eager to get with another white man. And I think that's sick. And I think it's sick that you have this black woman who goes out of her way to defend white men, to protect white men, to insulate white men, while at the same time, even though these white men are the ones that are racist towards black women, racist towards the black community, even despite all of that, they defend them. And not only do they defend them, they don't have any problem or any hesitation at all attacking black men in the black community. So tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.